Hi, I'm Ray, Chubby Ray Comics. I don't buy single issues. I buy trade paperbacks. I buy omnibuses. I love talking about them. And today I'm going to run down my list of the greatest comic stories you can find in collected editions. It's a list of 15, but I wanted to start with my honorable mentions. This was when Wally West, a character in DC Comics, was forgotten. Everyone forgot it, and he was gone for the entire New 52. Well, he came back, sort of, in Rebirth. He remembered his life, but no one could remember him. I thought this book was great because it really showed the DC Universe as being this thing that is part of a bigger thing that included every comic we'd ever read. So it meant that all the comics going as far back as the 1920s and 30s existed. They really existed. This book had Wally looking for anyone who remembered him, and nobody could. It was an emotional book. But finally, it has a happy ending, and Wally West lives. In fact, he returns in the Rebirth era of DC Comics, the Rebirth. Next up is a great book from Marvel, Civil War. Marvel superhero versus Marvel superhero. It was an epic tale, and starring the one and only Captain America. There are unforgettable moments in this book. And it was that big first event book that Marvel did in that string of books. Books that included Secret Invasion, Fear Itself, Siege. All this stuff started with Civil War. The Button. It's Batman and Flash. It was a sequel to Rebirth, the story where Wally West was trying to find anyone who knew him. This was also a sequel to Flashpoint that included the story of Thomas Wayne. In this, Thomas Wayne's son plays a big part of it. Batman teams up with the Flash. They end up traveling, and that's where they meet Thomas Wayne. It's a great story. Another honorable mention, it's an all-time classic book, Batman, The Court of Owls. It's Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. It's a great story about a secret organization called the Owls, and Batman is not going to have that. It's an all-time great. Batman, The Court of Owls on my honorable mention list. Next honorable mention, Superman. How is Superman not on the list? Of course he's on the list. He's Superman. This is Up in the Sky, written by Tom King. This is how far he'll go to save one little girl who is kidnapped and in space. It's a touching story, and it's got really cool parts to it. But it just shows how the comic book hero who saves the world, stopping this apocalypse and that apocalypse, can also just concentrate on saving one young child. It's Tom King, Superman, Up in the Sky. Now let's get to the greatest stories of all time. I intentionally wanted to leave off some of those stories that we always hear about, like Long Halloween, but how could I not put Watchmen on the list? Number 15, Watchmen. Number 14 is one of my favorite heroes, Daredevil. From Daredevil Omnibus Volume 1, it's also on Epic Collection and many other formats. It's Daredevil in combat with the Submariner. From Daredevil issue number 7. I first read this when I was a young child. It blew my mind because Daredevil's powers, they're nothing when they're compared to Submariner. So what's going to happen when they fight? Well, we find out in this story. It's Daredevil versus the Submariner. And it's an awesome story because just how bad Submariner beats him and how he keeps going and keeps going. He's like the Energizer Rabbit. He just keeps going and going, even though he's losing. Submariner even respects him in the end. It's a great tale. In combat with Submariner, it's Daredevil. Number 13, Batman Shadow War. I love this story. It's Joshua Williamson, who's one of my favorite all-time writers, telling the story about Damian Wayne and his grandfather, Ra's al Ghul. This is the assassination of Ra's al Ghul, and he's assassinated right in front of Damian Wayne and his father, Batman. But the main crux of the story is who did it and why. I thought Joshua Williamson weaved a great story, and there's a mystery and a reveal at the end, and it turns out the killer is not who we were expecting. I'm just surprised by how underrated this book is. Shadow War, Batman. Number 13. Number 12, The X-Men, God Loves, Man Kills. This is Evangelist William Stryker deciding that mutants are not human, and they're not mentioned in the Bible, so because God hates them, we, as in man, must hate them. This was from the 1970s. Pretty controversial. Chris Claremont didn't care. he wrote the story anyway. Stryker's an amazing character, constantly calling everyone blasphemers. He's the only one who knows what God's thinking. So as he's turning everyone against the X-Men, you've got Magneto, who's not going to stand for it. And this starts a whole problem for the X-Men. It's really a great story because it's so ahead of its time. And learning who Stryker really is when he has a flashback, and you learn about him, his child, his wife, it is really gritty and really dark stuff. God loves, man kills. It's X-Men. Number 12. Number 11 is Brian Michael Bendis' masterpiece, Secret Invasion. And there's nothing like the first time you read it, because the twists and turns, the shocks, the surprises are so great, but you'll never experience them again after you read it the first time. Reading this epic story, especially when you realize just how awesome the Skrulls' powers are. And there's stuff with the Illuminati and the New Avengers, the Fantastic Four, everyone in the Marvel Universe. It truly is a great story. Secret Invasion, number 11. Number 10, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is where Steve Rogers hears of a Russian assassin who's gone out and killed a lot of people throughout the years. And Captain America's going to try to stop him. But just who is he? And as Captain America and his team goes after this assassin, he starts to figure out just who he is. So Cap figures out who he is, and it turns out to be one of the biggest returns in the history of Marvel Comics. It's Captain America, Winter Soldier. It's number 10. Number 9, we're going back to Daredevil. You know, Brian Michael Bendis had this amazing run on Daredevil. When Bendis ended his run, he put Matt Murdock, Daredevil, in jail. And I remember reading it going, oh my God, what did he do to the guy who's writing this book after him? Well, it turned out that it was one of his best friends. He and Brubaker are really close. So Brubaker wrote the story, Devil in Cell Block D. Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and the Kingpin, and Punisher, and Bullseye are all in jail. It's a great story. And even though Matt Murdock's in jail, there is still a Daredevil out on the street. So this is not just a great story about them being in prison. You've got the Who is the Mystery Daredevil. Devil in Cell Block D, number 9. Number 8 is a tie. It's 2 independent books, one by Boom Studios and one by Image. Let's start with the one by Image because it's written by Jeff Johns. It's Redcoat. I love this book. Redcoat is the story of a British soldier in the Revolutionary War who accidentally gets powers that make him immortal. He then becomes this superhero in the 1700s, and he's going to be around forever. This book is great because the superhero, Redcoat, ends up getting a Robin-like teen sidekick. I won't tell you who his teen sidekick is because that would be ruining the book. And I don't want to give spoilers. It is definitely a must-read story. It's Redcoat. The other book tied at number 8 is from Boom Studios, Something is Killing the Children. This is volume 4. This is the origin of Erica Slaughter. If you read Something is Killing the Children, the first 3 volumes are this monster hunter called Erica Slaughter, who is saving all these children at this grade school. And the whole time you're reading it, you're wondering, I wonder what her story is. Finally, in volume 4, James Tynion tells the story, and it's fantastic. You'll like this book from the first volume, but when you get to volume 4 and you get the origin, it's fantastic. The Erica Slaughter origin story is great. Something is Killing the Children, number 8. Number 7 is a book I won't shut up about. I think I've done 4 videos on this book already. Their Dark Designs, James Tynion, Batman. Their Dark Designs is Batman's OG villains, Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Catwoman, all deciding they want to get a plan to make them rich and show Gotham that they're in charge. So they hire a guy called the Designer, who comes up with a plan to give them all their dreams. He'll only do it if they pay him to do it. Well, there are enough things that happen that the villains decide to pay the Designer and have him go to work. And what he does disrupts everything. He changes the dynamic, especially for Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's a great story. Number 7, Batman, Their Dark Designs. Number 6, Venom Beyond. In the Donny Cates run, we learn that Eddie Brock, Venom, has a son named Dylan Brock. In this story, we get to meet Dylan Brock's mother, sort of. And it's all because of the Maker. That's right, the Maker. The Maker builds a portal and somehow Eddie Brock and his son end up in a different universe, and we get to meet Dylan Brock's mother. I don't want to give any spoilers this way because it's a truly epic story. It's also the prologue to King in Black. It guest stars Peter Parker. It's got a villain named Virus. It's got Wolverine, the Avengers, great big battles, and surprise twists and turns. Venom Beyond is fantastic. It's number 6. Number 5, Spider-Man, Back in Black. This is J. Michael Straczynski's masterpiece. Things happen to Peter Parker during Civil War that change his existence. And the worst thing that can possibly happen, happens. And because this thing happens, Peter Parker wants to get even. And that requires him putting on the black suit. It's a great story. Back in Black is Peter Parker putting on the black suit and saying, screw it, it's time I get revenge. Number 5. Number 4, Batman Hush. It's by Jeff Loeb, it's art by Jim Lee, and I can't believe there are people that don't like it. It's fantastic. Hush is one of the all-time greats, and it feels new every time you read it, and I read it at least a couple times a year. Number 4, Hush. Number 3, Jonathan Hickman, Fantastic Four, Solve Everything. It's a story about Reed Richards. He builds a portal, and because of that, he's introduced to the Council of Reeds. And all they want is to have Reed Richards from Earth 616 join them and become a member of the Council of Reeds. Oh, and what's the goal of the Council of Reeds? To solve everything. Number 3, Number 2 is written by the great Matt Fraction, and it stars, of all people, Iron Man. It's Iron Man Most Wanted. Norman Osborn becomes one of the most powerful men in the United States of America. Because of what happens at the end of Secret Invasion, Norman Osborn is put in charge of pretty much everything. And what does he want? He wants the Iron Man technology. Tony Stark realizes that, and he figures the only way he can keep Osborn from getting it is if he downloads the technology out of his mind, so that if Osborn gets him, he'll have nothing. That's what this story's about. It's art by Salvador Larroca, and there's tons of guest stars. Iron Man Most Wanted, number 2. And now it's number 1. Writer Brad Meltzer, Identity Crisis. This is an epic Justice League story that is one of the saddest stories you'll ever read. But it's also a great mystery, and I love mystery. It's the whodunit to end all whodunits. And by the way, the person who done it is shocking. I mean, it's completely shocking. This book also contains the death of another person's parent. That sets a new paradigm for his character. And there's a story about Batman, where Batman figures something out, and he gets angry. Really angry. Identity Crisis by Brad Meltzer comes at you on so many different levels, and they're all great ones. It's another one of those stories that is so sad you can't believe what you're reading. And the mystery is so good that you can't wait for it to be solved. Identity Crisis is truly a great story, and number 1 on my list. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. I put it together, a lot of thought went into it, and I'm sure that all of you aren't going to love it, but that's cool. I want to know what your list is. So like, follow, comment, tell me your list. This has been a lot of fun. I love putting it together, I love sharing it with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I'm Chubby Ray, and I'll see you next video.